is the best piece of advice that you would give to applicants that are thinking about applying to Oxford?
In terms of best piece of advice, I would say is to kind of get like a holistic view of Oxford from as many people, like as many parties as possible. Obviously, you have the view or like the perspective that the college will give you in terms of like what, or like colleges will give you in terms of like what college life would be. If you could try and get in contact with like the faculty in terms of like what day-to-day would be like, that's really important because like being at your faculty for some subjects is just as important as also being in college. And if you can like try to get in contact with like some professors, if you can. I know like some of them have open emails, so I would say like just trying to get like a holistic view in terms of like what like life at Oxford would be like, and then kind of going from there. So yeah, I mean, like again, this is one of the resources that you can kind of like make your decisions off of based on today, how today goes and how it informs you. So yeah.
Yeah, that's really great advice, actually. I'd not even thought of getting in contact with faculty, but yeah, their emails are all on the website, so that's definitely a really cool thing to do. Anyone else keen to jump on this question?
I'll probably just say like one thing that stuck with me when I was applying was like, you actually have to be like, you have to show your interest in the subject and like show what specifically about your subject you like. So if that's in your interview or your personal statement, make sure that you actually like have a particular interest in something that's not like, I don't know, like general or like, what everyone would say or cliche. Make sure that it's like, tailored to you, basically what you want to talk about, what actually you like about subject, basically what gets you going. So like for me, for example, when I was applying for history, I was like really interested in like revolutions and Black history and things like that. And like, that's all I spoke about during my interviews. Like even when I didn't really understand the questions, I always like direct it to that because I was like, this is what I like. So whether you like it or not, this is what we're going to talk about. So just make sure you have like specific interests, and you'll go a long way with that, I think.
Yeah, that's really, really good advice for sure. Yeah, and I think it helps as well when you're like choosing your subject. If you're not that passionate about it, maybe it's not the one to choose. So, and then also, yeah, like the interview feeling fun can, or at least it's more fun if you're really interested in the topic. So yeah, that's really great advice. Anyone else keen to answer this one?
I just want to echo what Xaira and Reco said. Like those are completely like great and definitely follow them. Just to like, I guess, hone in on what Reco said. I guess during the process, it's really important to be yourself. I don't think there's any point doing anything, whether applying to university, regardless of Oxford or not, like to change yourself in the process. Like because then what would you have gained if you've lost yourself trying to gain it? So I think definitely like learn to enjoy your subjects and also just feel free to put your own spin on it. So I guess for me being a theologian, my school tried to push me to like talk about Martin Luther and like the Reformation. And even though I find it interesting, it's not the most interesting part of my degree because I speak languages and like I think of myself as a linguist, like the Greek side and learning Hebrew, that was really interesting to me, but also like the religious myths that my grandpa used to tell me like growing up. So I included that in my personal statement and it made it different. So I think just using almost your cultural capital as well, just the things that are important to you and like shine to you. Don't be afraid to kind of go against the grain of like the typical things that you think they'd expect from your subject. Just be yourself and don't like compromise. I'd say is like the biggest tip.
Yeah, that's amazing advice for sure. Because also you can't pretend for 3-4 years. It's not going to happen. So might as well be your true self from the beginning. I love that.